thing's chugging pretty hard. I'm kind of annoying at this. But let's see if I can get something going here. I don't understand because I actually had it pretty decent a couple weeks ago and it was just fine. I want to check and see. It's rose, but it's not shiny. There's the first soft reset. Never get it on the first one. Never have, probably never will. Unfortunately. Yeah, it doesn't appear that it's working very well. Well, I don't know. For me, I've got a playback here through YouTube because I'm just using OBS standard to look through this, and I have no idea if it's as laggy as what it looks like on this old monitor. Plus, that's another thing. I'm using kind of an old monitor. Why is it doing that? Okay, well, it doesn't look like it wants to behave at all. So let's pop this chat out, minimize that, and see if it'll work. Oh, that helps. I had the mic off. Hey, Sky. Alright. Mind doing me a favor? First off, can you hear me? It says you can hear me, but it's not running well. It's not running well at all. I checked it earlier. It sounded like the only thing that was working was the audio. entirely sure it's working great now. Oh, that's wonderful. It actually says it's outright running terrible. I didn't see that. Oh, that's unfortunate. I had everything running decent, but it doesn't look like it wants to behave, and I think what's going on here is it's overloading. In fact, I'm just gonna close YouTube off altogether and leave the chat up and see if that helps. Oh, you can hear me. And Gore can hear me. Hi, Gore. Something's wrong. Oh, actually, wait a minute. You guys are going to have to beat my test dummies on this one. I've just been playing around with this for a few weeks, seeing if I can get the live streaming working. It looks like as long as I have YouTube up, it can't run well. As soon as I closed YouTube, everything appears to have come back into spec here. Now, I did lower it down to like 30 frames per second, so I don't know if it can run well, but you guys will have to let me know. If it looks alright now, you can probably see the immediate improvement right where I closed YouTube off. Yeah, it seems like it's possibly running a little better. You know, that's the thing, Sky. I actually, because Streamlabs was so hard to dial in, and don't ask me why this computer doesn't run well at all nowadays. I had it dialed in. It looked like it was alright, but unfortunately, I'm not even using Streamlabs. I'm using OBS. But as soon as I closed the browser anyways, it seems to have helped, but I mean, you saw it the other time I was doing it. I was standing here shiny hunting for like a half hour straight just to check it. I never had an issue. Now I'm running at I'm running at half the bit rate, half the frames per second, and it still says it's having an encoder overload, which is not correct. It shouldn't be having any issues at all. So you guys will have to let me know what you think. What can I do here? I mean, you guys have to let me know, because I can't see it. I closed the visual off. That's the only thing I could do to actually make this thing run. So much for a performance laptop. However, let me ask you this. How's it looking now that I shut that browser down? It says it's not having any encoding problems, so granted, it should only be at 30 frames per second. I cut the frame rate in half, but you know it's running at most 45% CPU usage. Partly why I'm leaving the cutscene on here for Articuno is so I can stress it a little more rather than just skipping right to the stuff. Can't say I'm exactly expecting to find the shiny right now versus just testing the equipment. I've been concerned for a while. Laggy a bit, but audio is perfect. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. The only thing I can guess is it's just I have to run it in studio mode because I can't play it off of the screen. It seems like my video cards are either, maybe, you know, it could be an age thing actually. Maybe my video cards are just going out. Which, I mean, it's not the most simple setup in the first place. I have a dual video card setup, so it's not, you know, it plays hot potato between the two as necessary. So it's not like it's a perfect setup anyways. I mean, probably about 6-7 years ago when this laptop was new, yeah, that seemed like the latest and greatest, but then the technology kept going on and on and on, and advancing and advancing, and 4K happens, and 1440p is becoming standard. I don't think the hot potato setup works anymore. But seems like the CPU's handling everything fine, which there could be maybe another thing there. Didn't even consider. It's possible that I shouldn't be using the GPU for rendering. The CPU's got room to move. The GPU might be sitting there, you know, like holding up 800 pounds and sweating and struggling. Who knows? So, how are you two today? Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. Had it running great a couple weeks ago. That was off OBS. Had Streamlabs running pretty much great. I actually saved that stream on private because I wanted to make sure that I could go back and say, hey, once upon a time this thing ran, and make sure that it still runs. But it doesn't seem to be doing that. Doesn't help. I'm using a second monitor, which may or may not be helping. I'm sure that's not helping, but the second monitor is kind of an oldie. It's a flat screen, but I mean it's a square shape, to put it in perspective. So that monitor probably, if I had to take a guess, maybe drawing a little power that it doesn't need to be drawing, and it would be obsoleted if I had something with an HDMI hookup, because then I could just go right into that and I wouldn't even have to have visuals. So, but for now everything appears to be okay. Well, okay, considering I cut everything in half. Needless to say, I'm not going to promote the stream too much. I'm just going to let it flow on public for a little while. Let's see what I can get going. Also, since I'm working on the tech more than anything, I'm concerned that there's going to be an Articuno that pops up shiny and I'll just miss it. Haven't failed a shiny. It's been over 400 of them. I don't intend to now. No worries, I'm just looking for feedback, Sky. I appreciate you stopping by. I'm mainly just trying to get some feedback on how it looks. I can type the URL into my phone, I guess, but that's kind of a pain. And I did already do that. Once again, ignore. I should apologize to Raven if Raven comes back at any point. Raven popped into the chat. I didn't notice until I shut the stream down, although in my defense I thought that stream was going to run just fine at 60 frames per second at 3000 bitrate, and it was chugging horribly to the point where YouTube was telling me that it wasn't even receiving enough to continue live streaming. So I shut it down, and that's when I noticed Raven's comment. I'm like, oh, right, I forgot to switch that over to private while I work the bugs out. Raven shouldn't be mad at me. Tried my best. Wish there were an easier way to test this. The only way I've been testing it is just to go live on private log it in the archives and adjust something, go live again, adjust something, go live again. Wish it were easier than that. Which, like I say, I think I cracked the code. I need a TV. I moved over into the office. Actually, I left the laptop here when we played Cards Against Humanity. Just left the whole setup here, just like when I recorded Pokemon. And, so I thought, alright, I'll bring the Switch over here. I'll use this as the monitor. I'll just play off the laptop with OBS. Wrong. That's pretty much where any of the problems are occurring. That's what I think. That's alright. Gotta learn these things, right? I really do think the computer's probably in need of an upgrade, at least to the RAM. I can tell because if I'm in OBS and I decide to pull up the emotes on my computer, it chugs. Has no problem running games at 60 plus frames per second, but has every problem in the world loading the start menu fast and loading emotes fast, so that tells me I think I got a RAM problem. 8 gig of RAM I didn't think was that bad, you know. 16 would be better, 32 would be overkill, but might be time. Computer all around. At times I'm seeing it pop up to about 60%. Wow. I got one part of my computer that's definitely running a little hotter than the rest. I know there's a fan out. I have a cooling pad underneath the fans that are in the computer. One of the fans broke on that cooling pad. You can tell which one it is just by putting your hand over the keyboard. Probably wouldn't hurt to skip the cutscenes. Obviously video is stressing it, and since I'm using OBS for the video, I'm stressing it out further just having this cutscene, and it wastes time technically for the shiny head. At the same time, not sure how long I'm gonna go because I don't know what it looks like. Notice that you're AFK, Sky. You know what? No, I can't. I closed it out. I can just pull it up on my phone really quick and see what it looks like. If it looks terrible, I will probably shut it down immediately. If it looks manageable, I guess I'll just keep going to almost like a shock stress to the system, see how long it can go. Oh yeah, I forgot to ask if the audio levels here. Is there a lot of static? That's what I hear when I hear it back. Doesn't seem to be as bad, but definitely not as good as the other day at all. Like I say, I had to cut all of everything that's running in half. If I'm trying to play the game on the computer, which obviously is going to make it very difficult if at any point I use the computer for game. Oh, that looks terrible. I'm looking at it now. That is not very good. Exo, also known as Exopath, also known as Revised Exopath. How you doing? Oh man, these visuals, they're falling apart. So much for that. To catch you up, EXO. Went live to try and test the system. I've been doing this for a couple of weeks every now and then when I get some free time to see what it would take for me to live stream in terms of hardware and how much this computer can handle, which the computer is supposed to be able to handle. It's a pretty nice laptop, but it's just old. But unfortunately for me, if I have the visual up on the screen, it falls apart. I have to use my TV or a monitor with HDMI to actually make this work. If I try to play the game off of my computer, as visuals anyways, that will wreck it instantly, and that's what I'm experiencing. Is I'm at half the bit rate, half of the frames per second, and it still does not look good. However, the audio appears to be fine, so I don't think there's any static or anything. So how you doing, EXO? Yeah, as I watch it back now, especially this cutscene that I'm leaving in, you know, I know a couple friends that stream at 30 frames per second, and it still looks smooth. This too is straight up jumping. Now, clearly what I've learned here today is do not use the computer for visuals. My dual graphics cards are not what they used to be. That would be pretty funny though, if Articuno spawned right now, shiny. I'd have to post that video. There's nothing I can do to fix the quality though. Not that it matters, I guess. That's another thing too, is while I want to keep an eye on how the system's performing, I also don't want to accidentally fail a full odd shiny and soft reset over it. So I'm keeping an eye out for sure, because I don't care how bad it's running. If I miss that shiny, forget it. That would wreck my night. Very solemnly do I actually, or seldomly rather, very seldomly do I actually get an early shiny. I would hate to throw that out. Downright awful if I did that. I don't know what to think about it. As far as I'm hearing from the chat, my audio is great. It is my visuals that are lame. Let's just keep it tame. How are you today? Trying to test the system. I've been casually testing streaming for like 2 weeks now, maybe 3 weeks. And unfortunately, I had everything dialed in, but what I think happened here is I'm trying to play the game off of the computer's monitor rather than playing off the TV, so I had it from studio mode now into how I record when I'm actually recording. That has destroyed it. But again, audio sounds good. Pants Monster. Welcome. I should have titled this different. I closed YouTube because when YouTube was actually up, it was running downright awful. It said that my stream health was in blood red, nasty, not running at all. I closed that off, so I can't see anything right now about what it looks like, how many people are in chat, any of that. The only thing I kept was the chat, and that helped. And that definitely tells me that it's a video. That is definitely not keeping up anymore. The dual graphics cards playing hot potato with their capabilities, the power capabilities to keep things running smooth. 480. So that's the funny thing, Rikage. I'm not using Streamlabs because I thought I've tested it with Streamlabs and with regular OBS Studio. I figured if I just use OBS, it will run super smooth without having to worry about anything. But you can't alter the resolution or the output rather, so it's stuck at 360. And what's weird about that is, like I was playing Smash like 3 weeks ago, and I was also playing Let's Go here to see how it looks. And when you look at it on screen, it actually looks really well. And then when you watch the playback, it's almost like it drops in quality a little bit with the 360. Anything is better than nothing right now. But it did not turn out the way I thought. I mean, I'm continuing to learn. That's good. But the only thing I learned was don't use the Office here or find another monitor because my second monitor doesn't have HDMI hookup to it. Unfortunately, it's kind of older, but it's still flat screens. Just the resolution isn't as good, and you know I could go on about it. But nonetheless, the big point here is it doesn't have HDMI because if it did, then I wouldn't even be feeding this through the laptop at all. I would shut the visuals down and just watch the chat on the computer and let the monitor take care of the Guess I got this far wrong, right? I mean, I'm looking at it back here. It doesn't seem awful at times. Sometimes it's loading it better than others. I'm mainly judging it on that cutscene when Articuno first spawns, because that's going to stress it out the most. Oh well. You know what I'm thinking? I kind of wanted to stream tonight. I got an hour. I came in an hour later with the stream just because I was trying to set everything up. I wanted it perfect, but you know what? You guys are here. I'm sure that you don't feel like listening to me just rant about computer problems. I'm just gonna have a fun stream. You know what? Forget it. I've got my audio, and you can see on screen. You can hear in my voice if the shiny spawns. So until then, I'm just gonna have a fun stream. Get back. It's a Wednesday night. There's no reason to stress out, right? I know what the problem is. I can fix it at a later time, but I wanted to stream. I'm going to stream. Is there a way I can show OBS on my screen? Yeah, I could switch the video capture to screen capture if I wanted to do it that way. There's not a whole lot of benefit though. I know what the problem is, and I don't think there's any way to fix it. It's kind of a hardware capability issue. Basically, it comes down to if I play it on my TV, close it off on the computer, it'll run fine. If I try to play it on the computer and stream it at the same time, get it. So for now, I'm going into shiny mode right here. I'm going to try and figure out everything else later. I already figured it out. I had it running great. Oh, you think it's just the Articuno scene? Well, there's an easy way to fix that. Good catch, my friend. I saw it on my phone, but I mean, I'm barely looking at it just to see what it looks like. But yeah, you're right. That Articuno scene seemed to chug a little worse. So up. Fix that right now. How about audio level? How's it sound? I put movie skipping on. Why did I skip that? Button on there. Would I like to collab? I'm always up for it, man. I feel bad because I've told a couple of people now that between work getting a little on the crazy side, I've been traveling and working longer hours. Between that and trying to figure out hardware issues here, I kept blowing off a few people. So I don't want to make any promises here, or especially jump into something just in case my schedule is a mess. I would hate to spend how long trying to figure everything else out, technically, and then by the end of it be like recording at midnight, you know? But absolutely, I'd love to. Alright. What happened here? Movie skipping is on. How do I skip it? Oh, it's the plus button, of course. The only one I didn't try. Look at that. Alright, Articuno. We were playing nice right now. Or we were playing nice, but right now we're switching to serious mode here. I ain't talking to you unless you're gonna sparkle. Make something of yourself. Although, you know, actually come to think of it though, I never set the natures. There's a fortune teller in Celadon, or I think it's Celadon. I can set natures for you if you visit the house. I did not set the natures, so technically right now, I might be hunting an Articuno, find a shiny, and turns out it's worth squat because it's got the wrong nature. But, make for a good story. Nope. I shut off pretty much every program. Discord was the first one to go. I shut off Discord, and then I set the priority level on OBS to above normal. After that, the only thing I had going was Chrome with YouTube and Twitter. I killed that. The only thing I've got is the chat. Definitely paranoid. I don't want to accidentally find out that I soft reset over the thing, so I'm giving it time to not only have the shiny animation, but to just double check in my mind that the colors are right. I feel like I'm definitely going to leave this posted after the fact, because I haven't added any content lately. Like I said, its schedule's been crazy. I was sick for like 3 weeks, and then I thought I'd get back into it, and then the schedule got crazier. Chrome likes to run in the background. I'm using Chrome for the chat, so it's definitely going to be running. If I close it off, I close the chat off too, because OBS, unlike Streamlabs, I don't think OBS will allow me to see the chat. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll hit studio mode. Maybe that's what studio mode does. But last I checked, the only way you can get the chat up in OBS is if you're using Streamlabs OBS. I'm using regular broadcasting OBS. I can give it this much anyways. I mentioned that it was hot earlier, but it hasn't. It heat up to that peak temperature, and then it's stayed steady at that. And I'm running anywhere between 36 and 50% CPU at tops. It seems to pop up like 68% when the game boots up. But I'll hand it this. Doesn't seem too bad. Seems the visual is the only thing that's wrong, so... There's hope for the future, everybody. There's hope. And believe me, if anybody's seen my Nuzlocke, I'll run on hope more than I don't. Well, you're in chat, Reikage. Let me get your opinion on this. What do you think? I've been throwing the idea around of going to Pokemon Black. That was the next game I was going to play in the Blind Nuzlocke series, followed by Black 2 and then X. Rather than trying to set up hardware, especially now, because I was going to look for a capture card. The company went out of business now, so I got to find a secondhand one, and who knows if the computer can even handle it. Did you? You definitely saw how it looked with the 4K camera when I was just manually recording the screen, even though that's kind of the worst way to do it, is to record the screen and then combine it together via editing. What do you think? Just dive into it with the camera and do it again? I know I could emulate it and just have a Black emulator and a Black 2 emulator, but there's just something, I wanted the real game when I did it. I wanted to play the real game to where I actually had a team that is there after the fact. Like when I go back and open up the game, I can say, oh yeah, here's the team I had when I did the Blind Nuzlocke. You think I should just dive into it? Reikage is right. I'm sure he's not wrong. I literally have Chrome staring me in the face, so I know it's running. But it's, I don't think it's a CPU issue. It doesn't seem to be, the CPU spikes at 60%. And that's tops. I really think it's just purely a visual issue. Also, apparently a streaming mistake. I've certainly recorded video, which I made a habit of doing that. I should never have done that. But I don't have any water with me. Mouth is dry like a field of cotton. Feels like the Rubal-Khali Desert. I can feel the individual ridges in my mouth. There's nothing there. Oh, I should mention, Rikage. I've already got the games physically, so I'm not emulating it because I don't have it. I'm emulating it for quality reasons. So if the camera, that's the only reason I was okay with using the camera, is it wasn't like I was just putting a phone, like an old phone, up on a stand and then recording it. I was using an actual 4K camera that has a beautiful quality. And I got away with it, you know, as long as I didn't shake the screen or anything. Everything looked great for Pokemon Moon. It wasn't as vibrant as it could be, but I think it passed, you know. You don't have to start with top quality parts here. I don't have to have the latest hardware out there. I just need to be able to put it all together and make it to where it's watchable. And I absolutely think Moon and Ultra Moon were watchable. So that was the only question, is, do I emulate it for quality and visual reasons, or play the game like I wanted to and grab that 4K camera and run it all in editing later? Oh, Sky, I just saw the thing about Xfinity. That sucks. Modems when they overheat. I lost a ton of modems. I'd say probably about 8 years ago, back when the modem and router were combined together for decent quality, back for what's 8 years ago. And when they burned up, I mean, literally, they would overheat one time and it was done. Either the power supply would be done or the whole modem router would be done. Is your modem separate from the router? Oh, definitely, Rikage. I give you all the credit in the world. I've seen a lot of improvement, and typically my eyes aren't keen to that improvement. Like, when somebody says that they improved a lot of things, sometimes I'll be like, well, it doesn't really look bad to begin with. But, no, yeah, absolutely. All the credit in the world here. You just restarted the modem. I can't stand it because when you have your modem or your router go out on you, it's just a pain. Most people don't want to or don't have the means to run out and grab a new one if it breaks, and it just sits you there without it's just like the power going out. Yeah, okay, you just brought that up too. It's been acting funny ever since the power went out. I'll tell you right now, whenever the power goes out in my house, I start unplugging anything internet related because I've had so many modems that I went through, and that either surges of power would take them out, or they would just overheat and again take them out. Faulty hardware. I mean, that's not the greatest news in the world to hear, right? Ironically, I've been hunting this thing now for 45 minutes. In the new culture of shiny hunting, pretty sure by now at least one person would be asking, I've been hunting for almost an hour, where's my shiny? Actually, that's a funny question. So somebody did ask that. I don't remember, this is in the last week or so in a chat. And they asked, how long does it take to get this shiny? My response is, probably anywhere between 5 seconds and 25 years. It's based on a probability. There's no guarantee you're going to get that thing. Probability is just your odds. It can happen at any time, and sometimes it does take absurd. Raven, you're back. Raven, I saw you in chat earlier. I had it posted public because I thought it was going to go live just fine, and after voice crack, after seeing how horrible it was, I had to shut the stream down because I realized it was not running right at all. So what ended up happening was I shut it down, and then I saw your message, and I'm like, oh crap, whoops. My apologies. Did not mean to do that. Did not mean to leave you out there cold. Looked like I was ignoring you. I'm still going because I decided, you know what? I was in the mood to finally have my first full stream. And just because it's not behaving visually, which I think I know why it's not, but all of that aside, I wanted to have the stream, so I thought, you know what? I was in the mood. I really thought I would have a nice shiny hunt, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. You guys are all here. I'm not gonna sweat the small stuff like it's not looking perfect. Yeah, you were there very quickly. That's the fun thing too, like Reikage hatching the eggs. So I hear this a lot. And in regards to Let's Go, it's not exactly false. I wrote a whole thing on Reddit, in fact, under the subreddit for Let's Go, addressing the issue of I've been shiny hunting for nearly 20 years. So how do I feel about shinies now? It seems like people are almost getting entitled to them, like they're passing on shinies because I've already got 5 of those and 5 more spawned and I don't need them. So for one, I don't think there's a lot of people that are familiar with full odds hunting, which was for standard for years 8,192. 1 in 8,000 was your odds. Nightmarish odds. But if you go back to Gen 2, if you were to breed a shiny parent and pass down the quote-unquote shiny genes, basically what they had back then in the 80s, but it had to go to a certain gender, and I don't remember the specifics because I haven't done it in a while. I only stumbled upon it by accident as a kid. The odds of getting a shiny out of an egg were like 1 in 60. I mean, you were getting shinies left and right. So, for anybody that thinks that it's super easy to get shinies now, it was also super easy back then, under the right conditions. I appreciate that, Raven, and there's the full cutscene again for both of you. That's Raven and Sky. Sky's gonna kind of been popping in and out. Reikage definitely saw the full scene, because that's when I started skipping the scene. Oh, heck yes, Reikage, I will play Smash. I always wanted to be really, 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 really good at Smash. And the first thing I find out, same with Pokemon, is when it gets too competitive, it's hard to find people that you make friends with. So absolutely, I love to play Smash. I use the Joy-Cons. I promise, you'll think I'm using a Pro Controller. I would say I'm a solid 6, maybe 6.5 out of 10 on skill level. Oh man, Reikage, I just was at my parents' house over the weekend and found my booklet. I don't have the box anymore, but I found the booklet that came with my Pokemon Crystal version. I still have the Crystal version, but I didn't know I had the booklet, and it's in like perfect shape. It's too bad I didn't keep the box. Not that it matters, I can go get one. They're not even that expensive online, it's just a memory's sake thing. I don't understand this. Listen to this one. There are so many people out there that hated Let's Go because it broke the mold on many levels, and it kind of made battling less complicated. So they don't want a second Let's Go game. And to me, that is absurd. Why wouldn't you want a second Let's Go game? If there's another Let's Go game, it's going to be based on Crystal version. Just imagine the Switch on your TV in 4K. You get to do all of the things that were in Crystal version. You get to have the Suicune battle. You get to have the battle against Red after how many years? And I know Soul Silver and Heart Gold came out. Those I'm sure that there was no reason, because of how dense in content they were, there was no reason to have a Crystal. But definitely having a Crystal version after how many years, probably close to 20, if not 20. No, it can't be 20. 20 is how old Pokemon is. I'd give it a good 18 or 17 years old. We would have a Crystal version remade in Let's Go Johto. How could people not want that? Breeding a Meganium and an Alakazam to get a Celebi. Can't say I've heard that one. I obsessed over the rumors. I'll give you this much. I didn't fall for it. I just wanted it to be true so bad. The Mew under the truck rumor, that was a pretty quickly debunked rumor. So I didn't obsess over that. Celebi, I love Celebi. But still, not a rumor. I don't even know actually if there were any rumors I can remember. You had to get the GS ball. That's how it worked. I don't remember any rumors on how to do it. But I gotta admit, I tried everything in the book to get Deoxys. I mean, I tried everything to get Deoxys. I wanted a Deoxys so bad. And in a moment of weakness, I hacked in a Deoxys because somebody, not a Game Shark, what was it? Action Replay. Friend had an Action Replay. I almost bought one. And so I'm like, oh my god, I have to have this Deoxys. This thing is one of the coolest Pokemon that I'd ever seen. And that's the only way I was finally able to get a Deoxys. But I remember how crazy the rumors were. At least, like, Deoxys was one of my favorites. Is still one of my favorites. And then when Gen 4 came along and I found out about Darkrai, I'm like, okay, how do I get one of these? And you could glitch it in, which technically a glitch mod is sort of a legitimate thing. So I did that crazy glitch where you take 5,000 steps left after the black hole glitch, and then 10,000 steps up, and then 4,000 steps right, and eventually caught a Darkrai. And I was like, you know what, I don't regret it. I put my game on the line because it could corrupt your data. One wrong move could corrupt your data. I didn't care. I wanted that Darkrai. I agree, Rikage. Red being in the game was awesome, and he was tough. He really was. I mean, that's the legendary battle. Like Red versus Blue, Gold versus Red, and then maybe I would say the third most legendary battle is well, I don't really know. Technically, it never really happened in the game, so it'd just be the Elite Four battle against Cynthia. I mean, okay, technically that counts. It's the same thing. Red versus Blue was the Elite Four. There was the champion battle. So Diamond versus Cynthia, or I forget, how does that work? Diamond actually is Diamond is actually like Dawn, like the female trainer, and Pearl is the guy, I think. I forget which is which on that one. So it'd be technically Pearl versus Cynthia, I guess. Those are like the three most legendary battles of all Pokemon history in the games. Deoxys is not evil. He is so misunderstood, or it is so misunderstood. It literally floated through space in a meteorite, and then a giant dragon blew up its like as soon as it got into orbit, a dragon blew up its meteorite. Do you blame it for going crazy and attacking? I don't. Perfectly logical response. Yeah, that Deoxys, I mean, I had by a mistake Ruby and Sapphire version. That was the only time that I got both versions, unless you count Yellow and Blue, Crystal and Silver. And so I had Ruby and Sapphire. My Ruby version, even till today, has like 25 bad eggs, and sometimes when I try to go into the Pokemon Center, I walk over the roof instead. It's not in good shape after all the hacking, but I sent some of the Deoxys over to my Sapphire version, ported them up into Diamond. They're out there somewhere today. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it hard to hear? I turned the mic down because I listened over my phone for a second. It sounded like static. And that fuzziness is usually indicative that the mic is up too loud. How is it now? My chat is more Makai than, or Makai. I don't know why I said that funny. It's more Makai than it is anything else. And that is because the Makai Empire is probably the single-handed best community I'm a part of. At least most interwoven and interactive. Guess I didn't really pay attention to how many soft resets I'm at. I never count the soft resets. I've never done that. Or I shouldn't say I never do that. I don't do that anymore. I used to do that. What capture card am I using? Because using the capture card and turn down the... Oh, wait. Okay, so which one? You want the mic up or the game down? Because I can turn the game down, no problem. Here, let me turn the game down. Alright, tell me how that is. I turned the game down substantially, probably about, looks like close to 8 decibels, and then I took down the mic probably about 5%. Well, he didn't try to destroy the planet with that meteor. He floated here happily. It was a misnomer. They assumed he was going to destroy it was going to destroy the planet. That's, you know, everything makes the mistake of trying to destroy the planet once in a while, right? Some of our childhood favorite characters throughout different series have attempted to destroy the planet, and you know what? We turn out liking them in the end. Cool. I'll make a note of that so I know where to set the volume levels next time. I haven't checked the visuals in a while, but it seems to be that the encoder's not having any problems. So. Hopefully it's running smooth for as smooth as 30 frames can be. I'd like to think I can get this all sorted out before Sword and Shield comes out. Because I kind of made the choice. I'm going to do the Blind Nuzlocke for Pokemon Black, then Black 2, X. Those are all going to be Blind Nuzlockes. But I don't think with Sword and Shield I'm going to bother doing that. No, I should say Sword and Shield. It's going to be Sword. I'm not going to get... I don't really get both games anymore. Well, Articuno is not working with me. I thought maybe I could get a lucky early shiny, but that's not the case. Can't say I remember. Well, you know what? I have. I've gotten an early shiny legendary once. It was last year, actually right around this time. It was in February. I hunted Dialga. I still don't know why. I guess I was getting back into Pokemon after how many years and just decided, you know what, I'm going to shiny hunt Dialga in my new Diamond version. And I didn't count, but it couldn't have been but maybe a few hundred encounters, and it showed up. Yeah, that's what I always did. I had a friend that I particularly played Pokemon with all the time in childhood. One way or another, she always ended up with whatever the opposite one I got was, and we kind of planned it that way. But it didn't hurt that my favorite color was kind of in the blue spectra versus hers, which were in the red. So we always did end up on the opposite side somehow. If there were any differences or any Pokemon that we needed that were region exclusive, or I shouldn't say region exclusive, if they were exclusive to that game, that's how we swapped them out. So, like I say, I've never had a need for both versions. And now we have online trading and Reddit, so it's not a problem to go get the Pokemon that you need. Well, that's an hour, and I still feel like going, honestly. You know what? You guys are awesome, because when I couldn't get the tech issues going, I was like, alright, I'm not going to stream for long because this is a giant dumpster fire. But, you know what? You guys have made it worth it. Just sitting here relaxing, talking with you guys, having fun. I have no guilt about leaving this up on my channel. Because, yeah, it's going to look a little funny, but you know what? I finally live streamed something that I can be proud of recording and putting up there, and I had a fun time doing it. So, I don't feel bad about this at all. Oh, do you? That's the same thing I do. My starters in order. And no, I didn't play Black, or Black 2 for that matter, but they have the same starters. And I didn't play X, but I still know that what starters I'd pick. And even now, I think the starters, well, I'd probably make the same picks again, but the starters that I picked were in order Squirtle, and then after that I went Cyndaquil, so from water to fire. And then I went Mudkip, Piplup, Oshawott, Froakie, and then Poplio. It was gone. I was like, oh man, I called that thing, I nicknamed it Pupsqueak, and I've called it that so much I can't even remember what the actual name of the Pokemon was. So I went to fire one time, and then after that it's just been straight water the entire time. For the most part, they've always had good evolutions. The only one I pick on is Oshawott, because Oshawott, and it was actually, the evolution did everything in the world for it, because Oshawott to me just looks very bland and boring in design. Duat is the same problem. It's just bigger and more boring. Then you get Samurott, and I'm like, you glorious, glorious beast. Ride me through the Elite Four. I don't need any other Pokemon. I think Gen 7 definitely. Well, you know, at 6 and 7, just the starters in 6 and 7, all of them looked great. I don't know, people. I've seen a lot of feedback. People saying like, the Chespin line looks terrible. I don't think it does. I will admit the other two lines look a lot better than the Chespin line to me in design, but I think all three of them were good. And in a way, Gen 7 was the same thing. All three lines had a following. I think the Primarina line looks amazing, but the other two definitely look great. I think if I had to take a guess on what the favorite starter was, it's probably Decidueye. And then even the Litten Torracat Incineroar line, Incineroar looks ridiculous. But I think that after being in Smash and how they portrayed Incineroar in the anime, I think it really recovered a large group of those people back. And to where I would say it's pretty even. You know, there's not a hated line in Gen 7. I think all the starters impressed people. And even if you didn't like Incineroar originally, there was a charm about how ridiculous the thing looked that people ended up liking it. Yeah, I mean, to me, Oshawott and Duat are where I had the issues. It just felt bland. But the ends justify the means on that, because when you see Samurott, it's like, okay, let me hurry up and get to level 36, because that's when the fun's going to start. I think probably most people don't think that, or agree with me on that opinion, because when it came to the starters in that generation, 5 especially, I'd say Tepig took the brunt of the blow. And actually, Tepig all the way through Emboar. Okay, that looks a little weird. Pignite doesn't look great. So all three of them, Tepig is adorable, but design-wise, I think it was all right. Yeah, well, the Gen 5 starters, if I had to take a guess, I'd say if you were to take a poll on this, I'd probably be thinking the Snivy line would be the favorite. Just because I know Tepig, I know people don't like Tepig. Probably about a month ago, Tepig was trending because people were making fun of how awful it was. No, it was out of all the fire starters when Scorbunny got announced. Out of all the fire starters, which one would you throw away if you had to throw one away? Most people threw Tepig away in such mass numbers that it was trending on Twitter. I can't say I disagree with that, but I don't think it's a bad design. It's just, it's different. He was bacon that cooked himself. Yes. I didn't think of it that way. If you're going to have a pig made of fire, you're going to have burnt bacon. Yeah, it's hidden ability. Yeah, like I say, I'd say the fire type starters definitely. I'd say Emboar is probably the only one that I didn't like the design. I don't think it's bad. I just think it was iffy. Because when I'm thinking through it, I'm like, okay, Charizard, okay, that was a fantastic design through its simplicity. And okay, maybe it wasn't a dragon type and it couldn't use fly at first, but we're talking about design. And then Typhlosion I loved, even though the 3D model kind of made it look less aggressive. Blaziken is amazing. And I'm not even talking about Mega Evolutions, because if anything, that takes it away from me. And then Infernape, not only did it look good, but I think the anime definitely helped that one amazing. Like, amazing how many people loved it after that. After the anime. Then you get Emboar. Delphox is like a witch. That was just awesome. So, I mean, that's where I think the Emboar hate comes from, is just everybody snipes it out of the crowd. Yeah, the firefighting. That was a weird thing about Incineroar. Incineroar looked to me like it was going to be a firefighting starter. And I thought, again? Really? And then it came out and it was Fire Dark. I'm like, okay, didn't see that coming. I guess I don't disagree with that. Kind of makes me wonder where Scorbunny's going. To me, I thought the new starters almost looked like fake Mon to me. It was so bad that somebody actually did draw the colors of Chespin. Like, if you take the shadowed out, just the outline of Scorbunny and Grookey, and Sobble for that matter, and you draw in the colors, you can almost replicate Chespin out of Scorbunny, Mudkip out of Sobble, and I forget what Grookey is supposed to look like. Oh, it's Chimchar. You can draw in Chimchar, and you'd believe that those shadowed out figures were those Pokemon, not the Gen 8 starters. It's really weird. So originally I was like, oh man, these things look like fake Mon. Who designed these? Sobble grew on me. Yeah, but to me, I didn't really think the evil wrestler would come out so much as wrestler. I thought wrestling fire starter, final evolution, sounds familiar. Reminds me of Emboar. So I didn't see the dark type coming. Which, again, I'm glad. You know, don't need any more firefighting starters. There's more typings out there. You don't have to focus on that, Pokemon Company. But they didn't, so good for them. I'm still placing my bet, though, that for Gen 8, they're going to ruin that bunny. I know it. I know it, and I know them. I know how they operate. I'm in their head. And they're going to ruin that bunny. They're going to make it look horrible. That was my point in the podcast. I recorded with my podcast partner. I said, you're going to take Scorbunny and do the same thing to it you did to Bunnelby, where you have an adorable starter, and then boom, what happened to this thing? Press B. Well, still no shiny. That hour went by, though. I mean, it's already an hour 15, and that was a lot of shiny hunting, and I gotta admit, this is the way to do it, live streaming it, just sit here and chat. It's been a fun time. I've always tried to multitask, because if I just sit here and shiny hunt and do nothing else, unless I was sick like I was a few weeks ago, it feels like wasted time. Like, I'm just sitting here, reset, I could be doing something else too. And I've never been one to multi-hunt. I'm not a big fan of that. But this is great. Fire electric for the bunny. I mean, to me, it's going to tie in somehow. I mean, the thing is obviously a soccer player, or if you're watching this in Europe, it's a football player. But I don't know what type I would put for something like that. Like, how would I tie it in? If it's a fire Pokemon, and it's supposed to be fast and agile and kicks a lot, I guess, is what the theme would be. What type would that pick up? And the only thing I could think is possibly ground, because you know they kick up dirt so much when they're trying to kick the ball. But that's a stretch. Hey, Rikage, did I ever tell you about my fake mon? Or I shouldn't say my fake mon, but so I came up with an idea because I'd said a lot of people typically direct hate towards inanimate object Pokemon, the sentient objects. That's why Trubbish gets so much grief. That's why Voltorb gets so much grief. But I thought it would be great, and I still think it would be great, especially considering where the region's based on for Galar, is if they had a sentient tire. And like most of them, it would be a tire that has been abandoned on the side of the road or thrown into, you know, a lake. It's pollution. But I thought it would be hilarious to have a sentient tire Pokemon that was fire and ground type, because when a tire does a burnout, you know, you're smoking the tire on the ground. So I thought I'd call it either Smolder or Smolder. Smolder tire. No, it's not going to happen, but I thought that was a pretty funny thing, you know? As long as there's tons of people out there making fake mon, I'm like, challenge that one. I think that's a great idea. You should just hire me now and get the formalities through. Besides that, it looks like they're having some trouble designing Pokemon lately anyways. Case in point, Melmetal. I didn't think Meltan... But hey, don't get me wrong, I love Trubbish too. I've mentioned that multiple times through playthroughs. I can talk. I've mentioned that multiple times that I'm like, hey, I do like Trubbish. I do like Gardevoir. Absolutely. It's just they get grief because they're just inanimate objects to some people. But I've always liked having the sentient object Pokemon. Oh, that's going really dark. How does a sentient tire Pokemon come to being? Well, first, a car crashes and the passengers die, and then the souls of the passengers inhabit the tires that inevitably flew off of the car in the horrible wreck, and that's how the Pokemon is born. What's bad about it? Considering some of the other Pokedex entries, that's probably not a bad one. That's probably pretty par for the course. I mean, Yamask was a living person that carries his own face around, so the ghost tire Pokemon would fit in just fine. I think they should do that myself. You're right, the fan base every day is putting out fake mon, and there are some diamonds in the rough for sure. I think it'd be cool if they had a contest and actually took a fan Pokemon and put it in the game. I don't think they've ever done that. That's also got to be a nightmare for them too, because they're designing how many new Pokemon. I don't think they're going to design the one. What was it? The 183, I think I said, that it's going to take to make 1,000 Pokemon. I doubt it for this region, but they add 100 Pokemon every generation. They have to design 100 Pokemon first, come up with clever names, come up with clever designs, and then probably cross-reference it and make sure that a fan didn't come up with something close enough that they could sue. I imagine that's a fun job to have. Oh, we could go all day, Raikage. Hypno eats children's dreams. Drowsy, actually, I think it's quite the abductor itself, too. Speaking of abductor, that's what I named my Driftblim, because Driftloon and Driftblim literally abduct children. Frostlass is like a siren, an ice siren. It literally devours people, or it lures them to their death and then devours them. Meanwhile, Glalie just outright, like, cannibalizes. Well, okay, I guess it's not cannibalizing, but Glalie hunts humans in a very savage way. Yamask, you know, it floats around with its own face. There's so many entries that are disturbing in their own way. Spoink is supposed to bounce for its entire life. If it stops bouncing, it dies. That's tragic. Aerodactyl's Mega Evolution apparently causes it extreme pain, but because you asked it to Mega Evolve, it puts that pain aside. Granted, we can't really believe the Pokedex. The Pokedex is pretty much a liar. A lot of logical inconsistencies, so if anything, at best, these are just tall tales. But still, somebody had to write them. And they thought that it was a good idea at the Pokemon Company to make a bunch of disturbing Pokemon. Phantump, I want to say, has a story too. I just don't remember. It's like children missing in the forest or something, if I recall. That's a bad one too. Which is a shame, because that's Phantump is actually probably one of my favorite ghosts. Which, that was also a fun one. In my Nuzlocke, I caught a Phantump. I'm like, oh, no, wait, actually, I don't think this was the Nuzlocke. I think this was the Pokemon Moon playthrough. And I was like, alright, I love this Pokemon. I'm going to train him up and evolve him. Guess how long it took for me to learn that it evolves via trade. Whoops. My bad. Driftloon take children to the underworld? I don't remember that. I just knew they abducted them. What the heck? It's even worse than what I thought. Oh my god. Probably call it in a few minutes here. It'll be an hour and a half of streaming, so. If we were on Discord, we could talk for hours. I mean, well, actually, you know what? I've never asked. I'm bad about this. Most people I talk to that I've met in mutual servers, i.e. Sky's server, have their own Discords that I am not a part of, that I didn't know they had. I've looked up people on Twitter, for instance. I didn't find them, so I'm like, okay, they must not have a Twitter account. And then I'll find out, and this just happened with, like, Major, for instance. All of a sudden he requests a friend request. I'm like, or he follows. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought he didn't have one. Did he make one? No, he's had one for years. I just couldn't find it. Either way, I digress. Do you have your own Discord server? I do not. I have not built one yet. I decided I wasn't going to build one until yeah, that's the I guess until that breaks my own rule, because I was going to say like a certain amount of subscribers. The problem is I don't like going by that. I don't like making subscriber goals. I don't like setting goals that are based around turning this into a business type operation of analytics. So I shouldn't say that. I guess the idea is I would make a Discord. Let's say before something that's Ellery. Let me say that again. Before Sword and Shield. But regardless, I digress. Do you have a Discord? Or I shouldn't say do you have a Discord, do you have a server? Guess technically I'm bad about all that stuff if you think about it. I used to comment on everything I watched from everybody. Now I end up adding a like and lurking more than anything, and usually watching irresponsibly at work. First thing in the morning over a cup of coffee, I'll watch whatever I feel like watching, and then add a like, enjoy it, and move on and never say a thing about it. Really should change that. Gotten into a bad habit. The last 5 weeks I've been in bad habits when that comes to that stuff. I was pretty polite about that, showed a lot of respect, had a lot of fun, and made a lot of videos. In the last 5 weeks it's been like flatline on the videos, lurking on every video, missing pretty much everybody's streams. Not that I have a fear of missing out, but you know, you look back and you're like, oh man, I wish I was in that. Usually when I'm in stream, I'm multitasking anyways, but it depends. If it's a night one, then it's a little different. Alright, I'm thinking I'm going to give it 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes from now, and then I'll call it. It's no worries too. I sometimes it feels weird almost when you go to somebody's Discord server and you see that they have like a self-promote section. And so you go there and half the people have posted their own Discord servers in the self-promote section. And the reason that feels weird is because it's like, if you're gonna talk, you'd probably be in whatever Discord server you were in when you self-promoted in the first place. But you're trying to migrate people over to your server, so if you're going to talk to the same people, chances are you'd talk to them in the server you found them in originally anyways. So odd. There's no formalities to these things. I just kind of make my own rules or formalities that I follow on my own. Took a break? Yeah, I was gonna say, I haven't seen you stream in a while. Yeah, computer's starting to heat up now. I can feel it. I mean, when I run support on the thing, it has its own program that does a self-comprehensive diagnosis. It never comes up with anything abnormal, even through stress tests. So it should be fine, but it worries me when I put my hand on it and it's like, wow, that thing is hot. It's not discomforting hot, which I guess technically if it's not burning me or hurting me in any way, it's just warm, not hot. But I have to think that I'm touching a metal plate that's over the keyboard. How are the internals doing on 10? Hey Sky, welcome back. Here's what I'm thinking, Sky. I've had a heck of a stream actually. I just wanted to have a little fun night and see if I could get the stream going and, you know, pretend it was a real stream, which it was. This was a real stream. It's just the visuals weren't perfect. But I'm certainly thinking I'm going to leave that on the channel. I'm not going to take it down like I first thought, cuz when I first started I thought, the visuals are bad. I'll stream for a little bit and then I'll delete it. I think I'm going to leave this up because I had fun, honestly. I've been going for an hour and a half and I didn't expect to. That said, I'm thinking probably going to call it pretty soon. I said 3 minutes, but then you came back. So I'll give it maybe 3 more minutes and then I'm going to call it. I actually need to have a late dinner. And that would be it for the night. And it was better than the first test, because the last time I streamed, I wanted to see if they could maintain it well. And so I went for like 40 minutes. This time I've gone for over an hour and a half on a maintained stream, and the CPU is running just fine. It's just the graphics, and the graphics, according to you, are getting better, so, you know, I think the problem is fixable. I think I absolutely can fix this. I just gotta use it. First off, no dual monitors. I really do wonder if both my graphics cards... Again, the stress test says they're fine. I'm questioning if that's true. But then beyond that, I want to see if I can just use the CPU as a CPU and stop using the visuals, play it on the TV, and I'm thinking everything's going to be fine. Absolutely, Rikage. No problem. You're in Sky's Discord, right? So we can definitely meet up in there, and then actually you can just directly message me anyways. We don't need to have each other added or anything. So. Yeah, I know, Sky. Isn't it weird? I see that all the time, and I'm like, I'm not sure. I have not made my Discord. I intend to make a Discord server, but not yet. When I do, I really don't think I'm going to go around to everybody's server and start posting my link. I think I'm going to just throw it up in my video on my channel, on my Twitter, and then if you find it, perfect. If you don't, I'll tell people about it, but I'm not going to go making the rounds, per se. Yeah, Fat Rikage, I'm definitely going to use the TV next time. I did it last time with the TV, and I also did it with a Smash stream. Now, the stream is listed as private, so you can't see it. I just did a quick battle. Everything was fine. It looked great. And that was through Streamlabs. So, and what's bad about it now is when I go to record stuff off of this, I'm going to have to switch everything back because I have the bitrate. Well, actually, you know what? The bitrate doesn't matter because I'd be recording it, not streaming it. So the only thing I got to change is the frames per second. But I don't like messing with my settings when I've got them preset. Alright, one more reset. One more reset. I will see if it shines right here. I think there's a 10-second delay between the chat and me. I didn't set any other delays. So, well, let me know, Rikage, when you get set up. I'll definitely jump in. I don't like the switch gets hot, too. Everything gets hot. It concerns me. Didn't hear my thoughts about Deoxys. I mean, I actually have not played the remakes, so I don't know what the story they're going for is. But I do remember how Deoxys got there in the anime, and I remember how Deoxys got there in Generations. And it's never really stated that it was there to destroy the Earth. It's just kind of it floated in randomly type of thing. So I could be wrong because I've never seen the Delta thing. Last reset right here. Here, I'll even show Eevee for a second. Eevee with Articuno on the back. Here we go. Final reset. Then I'm calling it a stream. Definitely gonna add you, Rikage. It is not shiny. Oh well. I tried. Well, thank you guys for being here. That was awesome. I honestly was, I was starting to feel down about the whole thing. I'm like, alright, well, guess my computer can't make the cut after all. So I was feeling pretty down about how the stream quality was and just kind of about the whole thing. But then I sat here and talked for an hour and 35 minutes, and it was great. Every minute of it. So thanks for coming by, giving me your time, and talking. And, you know, it's great. I'll add you, Rikage, on Discord. I know I'm following you on YouTube for sure, so I can get your information there if I need it, or I can ask Sky, any of that. Otherwise, that's it. I will probably be on Discord for the next hour or so. I'm going to eat some dinner, probably finish some dishes up. I got a bunch of dishes in the sink, and that's it. Otherwise, I'm really happy how this turned out, except for the video, and I can live with that. You know, so can't have top-of-the-line equipment right off the bat, right? So thanks for your time, guys. It was really cool. Alright, catch you next time.